Hey everyone, Thordan Smash here, and today we're going to be talking about the meta in Apex Legends. It's changed a lot over the last couple years, but now we're in a revolutionary new form, and the question is it going to stay around, or are they going to revert it, and what is going to be the future with buffs and nerfs? We're going to go over all of that. We're also going to go ahead and give out one of the upcoming Watson Prestige skins. All you got to do is like, comment, subscribe. You guys know the drill. Without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. So back a season ago in Season 24, something actually pretty big happened for Apex Legends, and it's carried over a bit into Season 25. It wasn't actually a new legend. It wasn't a new map, which we've been waiting for a very long time. Come on, Respawn, just drop it. It wasn't even an LTM, actually. It was a design philosophy shift, a basically rewiring of Apex's core DNA. It was the moment Respawn said, what if every gun hit harder and helmets basically didn't exist? And with that, the time to kill was radically shortened. Gunfights that used to last 10 seconds, more attuned to like Halo or older school games like that, went completely in the way of Call of Duty and made it very quick. And players right now, even in Season 25, a season later, are still debating whether or not it's a good evolution or a betrayal of what made Apex special in the first place. And I mean, it's pretty big change when we break it down. In past seasons, the time to kill adjustments were minor. They usually just add like a +1 to the car SMG or a 2 to the Hemlock. And then, you know, they actually did some pretty big stuff like making the charge rifle no longer hit scan and working stuff like that. But this time, Respawn just basically said everyone gets a buff, and helmets, they're basically paper mache now / non-existent. Weapons across the board were tuned to do more damage. You can look at pretty much every single stat, and they got a huge buff. Bullet to kill ratios actually plummeted, and SMGs became a very powerful meta. And sniper rifles, which had fallen into obscurity, actually became pretty important. The result, Apex felt like it aged 5 years overnight. The game, once known for like tactical decision making, which is one of the reasons I was actually drawn to it with the longer time to kill, coming from a Halo background myself, and it allowed for mid-fight repositioning and ability-driven outplays, now required twitch reflexes and first shot accuracy, helping the PC players quite a bit. And it wasn't just balance tweaking, it was actually a deliberate philosophical shift from the Respawn team. And as I clearly just said, Respawn meant to do this. In dev interviews and patch notes, they made it clear. They want to shake up the meta season by season, not just tweak stats, but challenging players to adapt. To Respawn, the old Apex had grown stale. Fights dragged, the sandbox was calcified, meta teams were too predictable, but then again, I would actually put the blame on Respawn for buffing and nerfing specific legends to release heirlooms and then making them in the meta. So that being said, in Season 24, their answer was speed up the pace, shorten the engagements, reduce the number of drawn-out 3v3s that inevitably attracted 4 more teams before the dust settled. We even saw that with Ashe, where she received her huge buff that season and now was dominating the meta and has continued to do so into Season 25 in a quicker paced game. In theory, the quicker fights apparently was supposed to make fewer third parties, less time spent watching someone armor swap behind cover while you get lasered from a Kraber. That being said, that's in theory, but reality rarely matches theory, especially in Apex Legends. The player base is completely divided almost immediately with these changes. Competitive players who favor high-octane gunplay actually do seem to love it. Pros, fraggers, and controller players found themselves back in the spotlight. But casuals, longtime fans, the ones who actually love Apex for its movement and strategy, a lot of them, myself included, were left wondering what happened to the game they knew. As I mentioned in the beginning of this video, some felt the new time to kill turned Apex into a knockoff Warzone, less about intelligence and creativity, and more about aim duels and quick scoping and stuff like that. Others argued the game that finally feels fresh again, dangerous, but no longer stagnant. A Reddit post actually summed it up pretty well. This is the most fun I've had in months, and also the most frustrated I've been. I die fast that I can even process what happened, and yet I keep queuing up. So it seems like the player base, still to this day, is very divided about it. So basically, if the new time to kill meta isn't universally loved, the question is, what will Respawn actually do next? Well, there's one where they can do selective nerfs to burst weapons. We'll likely see some nerfs to some of the most oppressive weapons under the new system, the car, the R99, or even possibly the Hemlock. Burst DPS is basically amplified under the fast time to kill, and controller players in particular are melting with one clip consistency. I would also expect some recoil tweaks or slightly reduced mag size in Season 26, or maybe even in the mid-season patch for Season 25. I'm also hoping that helmet buffs will slowly return. Right now, helmets feel symbolic, but if Respawn wants to raise survivability without reverting damage across the board, I would expect helmets to regain a bit more impact in the game. Maybe we get new tiers or an Evo helmet mechanic. I actually think that would be really cool. I don't know why that's never been done. We could also see legend adjustments to match the new pace. Legends with repositioning abilities, like I talked earlier once again about Ashe, but others like Pathfinder, Horizon, and Wraith might receive indirect buffs to stay viable in the faster meta. In fact, in Season 25, as we know, Pathfinder received a bunch of buffs. We're just waiting to see other legends come alongside with that. And legends who relied on slow methodical play like Caustic and Watson are gonna need buffs just to survive the new sprint-paced fights, which has also been something that has been brought up a lot. The controller class doesn't feel very viable or very usable, and it makes a lot of sense because you can't really hold a building because you can get one clip so easily. Along with that, it also impacts the support class. If a fight ends in under 5 seconds, healing in itself becomes less valuable. So I would think that Respawn is once again also gonna look at how support functions, maybe passive armor regen or reworked revive mechanics. It's really going to be up to them how they do that. And my wildcard prediction is, what if Respawn actually, does a hybrid system? A higher time to kill in ranked and lower in pubs. That would be actually pretty interesting. Or even dynamic scaling, where the time to kill rises as the lobby shrinks to preserve late game tension. Once again, I think that would actually be super cool. I don't know if they could pull it off, but if it's anything, we know that Respawn likes to tinker with stuff. Remember, the dev team once deleted disruptor rounds, then brought them back about 3 different times, so anything truly is possible. Overall, the meta is kind of interesting to see where it's gone. I do hope they continue to freshen it up instead of just sitting on where we've gotten since Season 24. All that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into community clips now. Don't forget to submit your own to me at Thordan Smash on Twitter, but without further ado, let's roll it.
Daddy. There's one outside over here.
Yeah.
But it's rezzing right there. Right on the safe. On the safe. Yes.
They might chase me and forget about you. Just choke or something. Might be okay. Yo, what the fuck?
Let me know down below, what are your guys' thoughts on the current meta in Apex Legends? Do you think that it will go back to the way that it was in the past, or do you like the new time to kill? Also, don't forget to check out this video right here where I cover more news and information on Helldivers 2 on the daily. And until next time, everyone, keep slaying the Outlands. I'll see you out there.